Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dissecting Dance, Kicking It with Ren podcast, the podcast that opens up discussions about topics in dance. The goal of this podcast is to allow dancers and non dancers alike to think about dance from new perspectives, as well as leaving room for discussion. Enjoy the show! Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dissecting Dance, Kicking It with Ren podcast. This is Ren, and we're back. Happy 2025 to all of you out there who may be listening, but also who are not listening. I like to be inclusive. So happy 2025. This is my first episode that I'm recording this year. Although not the first published episode of this year, this is the first episode I'm actively recording in 2025. So it's very exciting, very great. I know that I had a December hiatus. I apologize for that. Hopefully we stay consistent, and by we I mean me, and we're able to actually, record and upload consistently. Once again, I upload every other Thursday. New year, new me. So I'm using in all news, I'm using a new platform to record. So hopefully that will make things a little bit easier going forward. And I'm back to my high quality mic. So that's really nice. Everything just felt a little more sporadic back in 2024. So 2025, we're going to try and be a little more organized. Hopefully that helps. So today's topic. Today's a fun topic. If you didn't read the title of the episode, we're going to be talking about Wii Fit. Wii Fit was a game I played as a child. I absolutely love that game. Has a ton of fun games and such. And I kind of wanted to see, recently this podcast has became, not only a dance podcast, but it's also for movers. It's also become a podcast for movers as I've started to realize that, in society, a lot of the things that I've wanted to talk about they don't only apply to the dance world, they can apply to a plethora of other things. So that's basically, and I believe fitness plays a huge role. The standards are very similar. Now I'm being disorganized, but before I actually go into Wii Fit entirely, I just want to let you all know some other episodes that are going to be coming out within the next few weeks. The first episode is obviously this one. This is the first one you'll see. How will Wii Fit kind of work for dancers and how you can kind of work with that a little bit. And then the next episode that will come out 2 weeks after this episode, Dancing with the Stars Live 2025 Tour Review or Show Review, Performance Review. Ever since starting this podcast, I knew from the get-go that I wanted to use this platform as an opportunity to, talk about shows that I've attended, talking about just, things outside of my little circle, doing some media reviews. Me and my friend Kayla, we reviewed the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader making the team. No, that was America's Sweethearts. That was the one we focused on. But we did something like that. This is different, though. This is a performance review. So I was lucky enough that I was able to attend one of the live shows in one of the cities. So that's been really fun. And then I've also been especially grateful to be able to attend another one. So I'm going to wait. I almost did the Dancing with the Stars episode first, but I want to go to the second show to see if anything has changed, because the second show will have other guests. I'll get to kind of look at something different, a little different, that is. But anyways, and then the next episode coming up, we will be with a trauma therapist or a therapist who specializes in trauma, and we're going to be kind of taking a nice little deep dive into it's not nice, but we'll be kind of exploring how dance can cause trauma, but also ways of recovering from trauma and, how that can apply to dance. So those are the episodes that you have to look forward to. I'm going to try really hard to be more active on Instagram. So follow me at Dissecting Dance on Instagram. That's the only social media I have, at least for now, until I can get my life together. Hopefully, this new platform will help with my social media venture. Okay, so now we're going to get to the actual topic. Wii Fit. So I have my little script out in front of me. So, for those of you who don't know what Wii Fit is or haven't grown up with Wii Fit is a video game developed for the Nintendo Wii console. The point of the system, or the point of the game, is to promote physical activity and wellness through playing games and having fun and having a good time. The game was released in 2007 in Japan and 2008 everywhere else. The big mechanic that Wii Fit and its other game uses is the Wii Balance Board, which is a pressure-sensitive platform to track the player's movement and balance. Yeah, so you can it also acts as a scale, but we'll get to that in a second. If you're not familiar with the Wii Balance Board, you can Google it. You'll be able to find it there. It will show you pictures and such. So that being said, Wii Fit has 3 games in its franchise. It has Wii Fit, Wii Fit Plus, and Wii Fit U. So I will kind of try and get into each of those. So we'll start with Wii Fit. So they divide their exercises into 4 categories: yoga, strength training, aerobics, and balance games. And it kind of sounds exactly how you would describe it. With yoga poses and strength training, you will actually be working with a Wii Fit trainer. You can pick male or female. There's no in between, unfortunately, but that just didn't exist in 2008 or whenever. So you can either pick a man or a woman for which Wii Fit trainer you want. In my opinion, the female trainer is like significantly better than the male. She's just amazing, and I think she's iconic. Also, a great character in Smash Bros, but that's not the point. Aerobics and balance games, you're actually able to use a Mii. These are all games allowing you to use your imagination. So aerobics the aerobics category has 9 games as well as balance games. I believe off the top of my head, aerobics has some running games, some hula hooping games, some stepping games where you just step on and off the balance board to a specific rhythm, and trying to remember what else they have, and some other games. They definitely have a lot of games, and the point of those games is to get your heart rate up and get your body moving. As my script puts it, enhance cardiovascular fitness with fun, high-energy exercises. I believe I don't need to explain yoga and strength training. I think that's pretty standard. The balance game, the point of balance games is to improve your coordination, your hand-eye, body, whatever coordination. So that game has stuff like the ski jump. It also has games like snowboarding, many games to kind of help you stay coordinated. And if you've played those games or you've seen someone online play those games, you know that it takes a lot of balance and coordination, especially for ski jumping. They also have... So I'm just getting into what the game is, and then I'll kind of talk about my sort of unofficial, unprofessional, might I add, opinions on the game. But essentially, with all of these games, the game wants you to do something called a body test every single day. So that's basically where you can set fitness goals, weight goals. It's supposed to track your weight and then it uses BMI to determine where your weight stands. And then there are also some multiplayer options too. I haven't used multiplayer very often. I don't think there's like a need to. Um, it just I don't. Hey everyone, just wanted to let you know that I have an Instagram account now. My Instagram is dissecting dance with no punctuation, no spaces, no caps, none of that, just dissecting dance. You can follow me on Instagram there for the most recent updates on episode releases. Thanks everyone, now back to the show. Yeah. Um, and now, and that's basically what Wii Fit is. You have the body test, and then how do you apply that body test to meet your fitness goals? I think that was like their point to that. Um, and then afterwards, they came out with Wii Fit Plus, which arguably I think is the best game. Um, it was released in 2009 and added things such as like new activities, creating routines, and being able to track calories. I did not know that the calorie part was new. Maybe I just only played with Wii Fit Plus because arguably it's a good game and I enjoy the games on there. Um, so Wii Fit Plus, they have games such as juggling, where you would basically be balancing on a ball, not literally but metaphorically. Your me would be balancing on a ball, and you would have a remote and a nunchuck in your hand, and you would kind of um, imitate a juggling show without falling over. They also had like snowball fights, obstacle course. They really had a lot of games too. Those weren't divided out into categories or anything. They were just all together in one fun little area by themselves. My favorite game was like the marching band game. Loved that game. I can't play it very often because if I march too loud, everyone will hear me. So, and I forgot to add that one of the aerobics games, I can't believe I forgot it. It's like the most iconic game. Is the stepping game where you step to a certain beat, and it's really fun. That one's a good game. They have two versions of that. Um, so after the Wii Fit Plus came out, arguably that one was like super popular. When the Wii U came out, they also made a game called Wii Fit Plus U, although I don't think it's actually called that. Um, this one they changed their entire UI. They added some new games that incorporated the gamepad. Once again, if you don't know what that is, look it up. Um, and that game, they added a dance component. Now I haven't been able to play the dance component, but I'll tell you all about it. They have very fun little styles like that you can do. Like I think they had like hip hop, salsa. I think they had jazz too. Um, I think they had like a pop lock one. I honestly, I should know this. Like I should have looked this up beforehand. Um, but that game was also like that was like the big standout is that they added like a dance component, and I'll kind of give my stance on that in a minute. But um, Wii Fit U has over 70 activities. They pulled some from older titles such as Wii Fit Plus specifically, and they also added some new activities. Um, and then some of the new exercises, as I mentioned, were dance routines, mini games, and activities like climbing that used the Wii U gamepad and or the balance board. Um, so the Wii U gamepad pretty much acted as like a second screen, but also part of what made the body test different on the Wii Fit Plus was that the gamepad has like a camera, and basically whenever you would like get your weight checked, if you opted into that, it would take a picture of your face and then it would store it. And I just remember covering the camera for that because when you're like 10 years old, I don't know why you would need that, but that's not the point. And then another special component was the Wii Fit meter, which is a small pedometer that syncs with the game to track steps, elevation changes, and calories burned throughout the day. And then data from that meter will be uploaded to the Wii U console. And that can allow your actual activity to be tracked more easily instead of basing it on a game. So now you're not entirely dependent on playing Wii Fit to get your exercise in. You also have a pedometer that's tracking your steps and stuff and predicted calorie loss or something. And Wii Fit U kept a lot of the, components such as workout routines, and once again used metrics like BMI, posture balance, and calorie tracking. I haven't tried the multiplayer and family features because I'm the only person in my family that actually played the game. Um, but the point of Wii Fit originally and through the franchise was to blend fitness and entertainment together, making exercising fun for people of all ages. Now, on that note, I added a little controversy slash problem section. Now, I want to add that all of these are alleged and also my opinion. Like I said, I am not any kind of health professional. Um, I'm not qualified to state like I'm take everything I say with a grain of salt. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Like don't overthink. Essentially, like don't take what I say for certain. This is just based on my own research. But yeah, so one of the things that I've seen like around forums is that the balance board allegedly rigging the player's weight to make it seem like they are gaining or losing weight based on their goals, in order to keep people playing the game. Now, when I talk about this is specifically for people who do the body test every day. Um, so, and you could argue that, based on statistics, that your weight fluctuates by a pound or two based on the amount of like water you drink or something like that, or what you ate 10 minutes ago, or didn't 10 minutes ago. So, like you could also argue that the weight does fluctuate from time to time. Um, but I heard people talking about it, so I figured I'd bring it up. That idea is out there that people do think that way. I can't confirm or deny it. Um, the other thing, and I kind of emphasized this a little earlier, is another controversy is the use of BMI and why it's problematic. Um, for those of you who don't know, um, BMI is BMI is a number that is created strictly based on your height and weight, and there are certain criteria on like what a BMI is. So like I don't know that criteria, but essentially what BMI does is says, here's your height, here's your weight, and here's a number to tell you whether you are healthy or not. Now, once again, this is completely based on like unprofessional, like I don't know anything, like I don't know enough to properly talk about how problematic it is. Um, but it also completely disregards body types and it runs the risk of causing eating disorders. We won't get into that right now, but essentially, let me word it this way. That I think when people make the assumption that someone is overweight or obese, which is like one of the pillars that Wii Fit separates you in, that it makes you assume, oh, like this is unhealthy, like this is like this, like they consider it as, oh, I have a lot of fat on my body and that's not good. However, something to note is that muscle weighs more than fat. And Wii Fit doesn't consider that, but it also doesn't consider genetically how your body grows, where weight is like distributed throughout. So I couldn't explain it well enough to save my life, but look up Alona Mar. Like she's a perfectly healthy person who has been considered overweight, even though she's just super fit, and that's something that tends to happen a lot in this world. Um, so, yeah, needless to say, I have issues with the fact that they use BMI to determine whether you're healthy or not. But also, I don't know what else they would even use. That's not the point, though. Um, and kind of going off of that, they emphasized that being overweight and obese was inherently a bad thing. By having the Mii clap when it was at a healthy weight and playing happy music. When the Mii was overweight or obese, it would play confused music and the Mii would hold its stomach and actually gain the weight. Now, when you're 9 years old, when you're 9, 10 years old and you're playing that game, I don't know how many of you played the game when you were kids. Don't do the body test as a kid. Unfortunately, you do have to go through it when you first create your Mii, but that did numbers. Don't. It's not good. But also okay, we're not going to talk about feelings right now. But those are like the controversies that those are like the main controversies that I've noticed within the game. Like the biggest problems that I've seen online, but also could or could not be applicable to myself. So that being said, my review. Does Wii Fit? Could it work for dancers? I don't think I made that very clear. But for the sake of this review, I will be using Wii Fit Plus. I have played Wii Fit U in the past, so I will base my stance on that. I am also not any kind of health professional. This episode is purely satire and should be taken with a grain of salt, as I mentioned earlier. I did this for fun, not to spread any kind of proper awareness. So that's very important to keep in mind. The reason why I'm doing this episode, and I know that when I talk sometimes it doesn't sound like it, but I am doing the Would Wii Fit work for dancers for fun. Like that's the only reason. I'm not even though I will talk about like the controversies and my personal issues with it, I'm not going to go into like too much detail, or at least I won't try to. Um, so, anyway, so let's get into what happened. What happened while I was playing this game? I will tell you. What happened? Where did I start? So, let me just give you a funny story, and I know I kind of talked about this a little bit. So just a funny story. When I went to play it, I discovered that my data wasn't there for some reason. I think because my original data got transferred to another console. It just like I had to basically start from scratch again. And part of doing and I knew that I was going to opt out the body test. Like I knew that there's no way that would be relevant for dancers. It could be if that's what you like to do, but for me, like, it's too much. Like, I don't want to put myself through that. But, um, but anyways, my original plan was to not do the standard body test they want you to do every day. But I had to because of the not having data thing. Um, but yeah, I'll get into like my feelings about all that in a second or later on. But, But yeah, once I had access to the main menu, I was finally like I could finally like have fun and have a good time after I made it through that strenuous test. Ugh. Um. So obviously like I didn't go in order. I didn't play all the games. I played a few in each category. Um. So the first one that I did, I believe I went into I'm already forgetting. I believe I did I did a couple strength exercises first. So basically, I think one of the games I did, it wasn't even a game, it was with a trainer, so it wasn't classified as a game. But I did the tricep exercise where you hold your arm over your head and you basically just bend your elbow so your arm goes behind your shoulder blade, and that is set up to where the goal of that is to not move your elbow. And of course, you can't really get scored on it. I do think it's funny that they do have scores though. So that was a good one. I did that one, and then I also did like a leg arm thing where I basically would lift my right arm and left leg off the ground at the same time. My arm was like on my side, of course. It wasn't on the ground. I was standing, and then basically they scored you based on how you were able to balance. That was like the biggest thing that they scored you on. I think I got like 3 stars on that. I thought I would have done better because I stayed within my mark, but I guess I didn't. Which, fun, joy. Um, so, looking at the strength exercises, as a dancer, and I do want to say that, we all have different strengths and weaknesses. I'm not going to dog on anyone for not being able to do the exercises because everyone's body is different. Every body has different conditions and injuries, etc. So, I I'm just giving you my personal judgment, but what I will say is that for both of those exercises, I used hand weights. They were each 1.5 pounds each. Yeah, that grammatically made sense. But each of them were they were 1.5 pounds each. And I would have used ankle weights, but I don't have any of those. Maybe later I will use that. But I so the 2 exercises I did were very light. They were very light, and obviously, like they had 3 games that were blocked. Like they had 3 exercises that were blocked because of the data thing. Uh, Oopsies, my bad, I guess. Um, so those were the 2 games that I played. Looking at if it would be good for a dancer, I did have to make it a little hard. I had to make both games a little more challenging because of the extra weights, but it did its job. Afterwards, my triceps felt very tricepped. Um, I felt like I got a good workout in. Um, my one piece of feedback that I have, and maybe I was just not paying attention, was that they weren't properly emphasizing. So as dancers, you kind of have you kind of when it comes to moving your body, you're kind of used to figuring out body placements all on your own. Like you naturally know the safe place for your body, unless you were trained horribly. But that's not something that I can properly speak on. But I think for the average person, and like I said, this is just my review, they don't specify, hey, put your knees over your toes. Allegedly. They don't tell you that unless I just didn't do enough of the exercises. They didn't specify, hey, don't bend your knees to where they're not over your feet. Or, hey, like don't lean too far. Like when you're balancing on one foot, hey, make sure that you can feel all 5 toes on the ground and you're not pronating or anything. Which, if you don't know what pronating is, it's basically where if you have your foot and your foot kind of like, if you're balancing on your foot and like you kind of start to wobble a little bit, like wobble on your foot. But basically, if your foot leans too far in, it can be really bad for your ankles and the rest of your body. Don't do that. Um, so overall, for the strength exercises that I did do, I did have to kind of self accommodate because for me in my body, they were a little too easy. But also, I think as dancers, we like to have more strenuous workouts. We're kind of used to the being sore the next day trope after a workout. Now, if you're a dancer, I'm assuming that I just make the assumption that all dancers have done yoga at some point in their lives. And in this one, they had the standard. They had the tree pose. They had downward dog. Let's see, the spinal twist, shoulder stand. Like they had a lot of stuff. Now that one, I mean, it's not a yoga class. And, I also don't really like yoga, but that's just me. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of yoga. But, it can help with stretches, like if you are like it can help, like we definitely do these things as a part of like being in a dance class. Like there's downward dog, tree, warrior is kind of applicable. That thing where you like candlestick, we do candlesticks, flat backs, the coccyx balance. I mean, all of these are in Wii Fit. I'm literally looking at the list right now. But like I said, like it's for dancers, and like the poses that are available in Wii Fit Plus specifically, they are very much like I frankly, in my opinion, I couldn't imagine dancers getting much more out of it versus just some sort of, unless they like yoga or something. Or if they need more guidance on like a workout routine, you could use the workout routine in Wii Fit Plus. So that's basically how I feel about yoga. I really didn't need to try the games to know that. That's just how I feel. That's like my little silly goofy review. The aerobics. The aerobics are my favorite. So in Wii Fit Plus, there are 9 games, and they kind of are in different categories. So there are 2 games that are hula hoop games. Those are my favorite games. I know that that's kind of like whatever, but the hula hoop game, both of them, there's like a regular hula hoop game where you can spin the hula hoop whichever way you want. You stand on the balance board and you'd literally just imagine that you're using a hula hoop. And then there's the super hula hoop where you're told to spin to the right and then you also spin to the left. So there's 2 separate rounds for the super hula hoop. Like those 2 games, I do think that dancers would benefit the most from those games. There's a few other ones. I think I could imagine dancers really benefiting from the aerobics game specifically. Just because and I think because they are games too, that really helps. Because there's also that, that perfectionism inside of us that says, hey, let's keep getting our score up. So it kind of matches our perception of you can always improve and you can always get better. And the hula hoop games and all of these games, the hula hoop game in particular really does that. I don't know if you can cap out on how many total spins you can get, but I know that it's possible. And then there's also the component in both games where there are 2 Miis standing on either side, and you actually have to reach for the hoops and catch it. So that's just a fun little gameplay feature that game has. And so for dancers, like, when I did the hula hoop game, I definitely felt it. I definitely felt myself breaking a sweat, which is good. Another game that they have is the boxing game. Now, the boxing game, I can't believe I didn't mention it when I was introducing it. That game is my personal favorite. I love that game with a burning passion. Amazing game. I think it's really good. I definitely get something out of it, so that's fun. And that one you do to a rhythm. The hula hoop game you do not do to a rhythm. You kind of create your own rhythm. In the boxing game, and once again, like I don't have a YouTube channel where I can just this podcast is on YouTube, but I'm unable to show that. So you'd have to look it up for yourself. I apologize. But that game is also based on rhythm, where you have to hit the punching bag at a certain time in order to get it right or something. And then, yeah. But that game is a fun game. I would say that it's not applicable, but it's fun. Now I'm trying to review it as if I'm not a dancer, but that one is a rhythm game, and I frankly think that, like I said, like the hula hoop game is really good at allowing you to get those, like, you can't max out the score in hula hoop, but for the boxing one you can, because it's based on timing and it's based on if you can hit each bag like at the perfect time every time. Now, in this category, 3 of the games are based on stepping. So there's like a standard stepping game, and then there's a super stepping game, and then there's a free step game. I don't think you need all 3 games. I think you could have gone away with like 2 or something. But that one is also a rhythm game. The first 2 are rhythm games. You basically have to step on the Wii balance board exactly the right time in order to get more points. It definitely gets your body moving, but it's not strenuous in the same way as hula hooping. So it's a super fun game for, having fun. But if you're actually wanting to play Wii Fit for fitness, this game is not a game that... These 2 games are not for that. But it does get your brain going, I will say that. The free step game, it literally will just tell you to step on and off for you can set the time limit. You basically just do that over and over again. That could be strenuous. I tried this one and then I got bored and exited out. I think that one could be good in a way if you are one to, get those points up and really focus. I don't think you're going to break a sweat from stepping up and down the balance board, especially because the distance isn't that high, I would say. I think that the height of the balance board would need to be higher. But something I want to preface is that you also can't jump on the balance board. If you do jump on the balance board, the game will stop you, and that's not good. So, yeah. And then the last 3 games are all running games. I don't even think I need to, like, talk about that. Um, I don't even think that's applicable. I mean, it definitely is. You know, if you're not in a safe area, Wii Fit, it gives you an environment on Woohoo Island to be able to run, and I am just so bad. Like, for me, like, I actually, like, this is a very subjective review, but I just can't jog in place for that long. It does the job, right? Because if you're bad at cardio, then it gets the job done. But for me, like, I think that it's too tempting to just sit down and shake the Wii remote. Because basically, you're not using the balance board. You're holding the Wii remote in your hand, and you have to run in place. And you have to make sure that you're running at a consistent pace, or else you lose points. I've always gotten 1 star from playing that game. And then they have 2-player run, where you can get another player to play with you and basically run in place with you. And then there's like the free run. In this session, I didn't do those games because we all know, like, it's running. Like, you're basically just jogging. So those are my reviews on, like, the aerobics games. Now let's look at the balance games. So the balance games, there are also 9 of them. It could benefit, I could say. Definitely teaches you about coordination and kind of, it makes you aware of how and where you're shifting your weight. So most of these games all serve the same purpose. There's a soccer game where you basically have to, like, headbutt soccer balls, and you lose points if you hit shoes and panda bear heads. Then there's a snowboarding game, which I'm always bad at. Those 2 games are very much focused on where and how you shift your weight. I can't say that those will necessarily help with your balance, but it might make you aware on where your body is in space, and specifically talking about the too much, too little kind of thing. There's also ski jump. Ski jump is, I would say, my favorite game. You actually are kind of expected to balance in a certain way. So you go down the ski hill, and then you basically have to hold a pose in a certain position in order to get more points. And kind of similar to the hula hoop game, like I said, I think that game could really be beneficial for, I think that could work. But like I said, this game is for fun. So I think that could, I'm just biased. I love that game. It's such a good game. Now, some of the other ones, like, obviously as dancers, like, we all need that coordination, that sort of fun balance kind of thing. This one's one of them. This one, you're basically turned into, like, a ball. And this next game, you're turned into a ball, and you basically have to, and then you get more of these, like, ping pong pool ball type things. You get more of them. And then you're basically in control of a platform that kind of controls where they go. Like I said, like, this game, like, when you look at this and you say, oh, these are balance games, I don't think that these games entirely focus on balance. I think it's more about coordination and being aware of where your body is in space. There's also a tightrope game, which is terrifying if you look that up. Like, I get scared when I play it. There's also another one. There's a huge bubble theme in this portion. But you're basically inside a bubble, and you have to transport your me through a maze while they're in a bubble. And you can't hit the wall, or else the game is over. But, you know, these balance games are very, like I said, aside from the ski jump, a lot of these are not really based on balance, but they're more based on being aware of your posture and where your body is in space. So the whole balance, and I know that they probably said that was the point of balance games, was for, like, coordination and being aware of your body. But, you know, they call it a balance games. They call it that. Not me. Yeah, and then there's a few other ones on there. The most notable one, I don't know why it's there. You basically sit on the Wii balance board, and you have to be as still as possible and close your eyes, and it will, like, scream at you if you lose. Look it up. It's terrifying. Now, there's some other ones. We're going to kind of get into the Wii Fit Plus games, like, you know, the additional games that come with Wii Fit Plus. And this category is called Training Plus. They have a bunch. Now, like I said, like, some of these are based on, like, Some of these are more aerobic, some of these are more based on coordination, some of them are rhythm-based games. So it really depends. The most notable ones is that there's another run with a quiz at the end. So not only do you have to like jog, but you also have to look at your surroundings. And you know how I feel about the jogging games. They have a more emphasized bubble river game. My favorite game in this category would be the marching game, where you basically just march. And then this is strictly a rhythm game, which is why I like it. But you basically just take steps on the balance board, and you have to keep a consistent beat, but you're also doing separate things with your hands. From a dancer perspective, I think we could all benefit, unless you're like on a drill team or like a college team where you have to like do these complicated arms where they're all like different and stuff. That was a fun game. And then, there was an obstacle course one too, where you basically like just take steps on the balance board to try and get through an obstacle course. They also had a golf game, but yeah, that's basically it. They have routines that you can kind of look at and like, and it will say, what do you want to do with your body? Or like, what's your goal? Like, what are you looking for? And then what the game will do is that it will suggest it will give you like a list of games, and you can play them all back to back. So instead of having to memorize your list, you can basically make your own workout routine with all of these games, with all the stretches and yoga and strength training. And it will hand select games based on how you feel, like based on like what you want to do and what your goals are. Conceptually, I think that's good. And from what I remember, I can say that the games were in the correct retrospective categories, which is a good thing. Like, we like that. We love it. We love it a lot. But I wanted to take the end to kind of get into like now that I briefly, that's the funny joke, I explained the game. I want to get into like I kind of gave my personal views, but this is my overall stance, is that obviously I have my own problems with the game. I think in Wii Fit, I think that they need to change. I think that if you have people who are younger than 16 playing the game, you cannot structure the game in the same way as if you are like 42 or even my age or whatever. I just don't feel that a game like that in that structure would be appropriate for children. And I'm specifically talking about the body test, because I don't think, unless there's a pre-existing health condition, I don't think it's appropriate for children to be worrying about their weight. And I know that in dance that happens all the time, because there isn't anybody I know that hasn't had body image issues in dance. But that's like my stance on it, is that like, first off, if you're wanting, I don't even know who would give this game to their kids or make this a family game, but if you have a Wii and you're like, oh, what's this Wii balance board sitting at the thrift store? I think it's really fun. Like, I think the games are fun. As a kid, I loved the games. But I also think with that body test, I think that's going to be a pattern, is that I just think the body test is really problematic. They kind of put that expectation on you to play every single day. They expect you to track your weight every single day. And I just think my psychology brain is telling me that could lead to some sort of like OCD type. You could run the risk of getting obsessed really quickly. And I just don't think that's really good for your mental health. If you are going to pursue weight loss in like a healthy way, it's supposed to be fun. I would want it to be fun. Like, I think it should be fun. I think you should enjoy the process. And I just don't think doing the body test every single day, especially because there are so many inconsistencies, like weight can fluctuate a few pounds, give or take, depending on like water weight and stuff like that. So I think that if you want to make a fitness game for children to enjoy, I think Just Dance will do the job. Just Dance will do the job, and I think not even giving children the option for the body test is enough. Because once again, like when I was 9 or 10 years old, I had this really clear memory of not updating my height in Wii Fit, and it put me in as obese. And let me tell you, it wasn't good. And so I think the body image, the body test, I don't even think they should have required it. I think you should have had the option to opt out. I don't know if there were any other children that played the game aside from me and like my family, but that's just how I feel. I don't think I don't think children should be obsessed with weight goals. I just don't think it's appropriate. But we'll move on from that. Now, well, actually, no, I'm not. I'm not moved on from it. I don't even think that's appropriate for dancers, too. Like, if you are looking to pursue some sort of, like, plan on either, like, if you're pursuing some kind of plan, I think that you shouldn't use a video game to pursue that plan. I think you need to speak with a professional. That's not me, because I'm not a professional. I just, like I said, like, it creates... I just feel like it's going to create some sort of, like, unhealthy obsession, and it's just going to mess you up, especially if the rumors are true that they're rigging your weight to make you keep playing the game, because that's pretty dirty for people who suffer with body image issues, and all dancers do. I can't think of one dancer who hadn't had a history of, like, body image issues. So that's my stance on the body test. I just don't think it's... I just have... Dancers aside, I just think it's very problematic, and I don't think you should be obligated to do it if you have those issues. I think the games are really fun. When I did the strength training games, and specifically when I did the strength games, which I did most of them, I did have to accommodate a little bit. Not accommodate, that's the wrong word. I did have to kind of modify it a little bit, but to make it a little more challenging, I thought, I was feeling it. But I don't think for a dancer that it's going to make you stronger. I think that it can help with maintaining whatever you have. But I also think that I think for dancers specifically, the strength exercises were too easy, and I also felt like they didn't, based on what I saw, I feel like they didn't do a good job with discussing exactly how to do each exercise in a way of keeping your body safe. Because, that's a big thing. We don't want injuries. And I'm sure they did because Nintendo's a big company, but I'm gonna fact check that in a second. The other thing, well, that's basically my take on strength games. They were fun. Like, they were fine. Like, they're strength games. Like, they were good. Yoga, they're obviously yoga poses, and I think, as I previously mentioned, like, they were, I think for a dancer, I because it's yoga, and because, that's not very, dancers do yoga, and we do a lot of the stretches. Once again, like, I think something you're going to notice from me a lot is that I'm going to be stating that I think it's going to be a little too easy. I just don't think, if you are a dancer, I don't think you're going to find it very hard. And it's going to be about maintaining what you have and potentially accommodating yourself to make it harder for yourself. I don't think Nintendo would encourage that, but that's not the point. That's like my take on it. Like, I thought it was, yeah. Strength and yoga, I thought they were too easy, and you could definitely, and I'm definitely not the strongest dancer. I'm definitely pretty weak. So, if you are a strong dancer, like, you definitely need to, like, self-accommodate those games. But I will say that it keeps you focused, it keeps you engaged. When you're doing the balance games and standing on one foot, that can help with your balance. But also you're looking at a little marker to make sure that you're staying within a certain area. So that can help there if you're a dancer struggling with balance. But you're also not being given instructions on how to hold your core during that. But I'm just assuming that you're all professional out there. And you know what you're doing, and you're good. And for aerobics, for dancers, the hula hooping, I think, is the best game, aside from, the running with the remote. Now, I don't want to, get into, actually, I will. Because if you are in a safe neighborhood, you could just go for a run. But also, I understand that, if you're a woman or if you're in a marginalized community, that you may just feel safer jogging in place at home. And I am not judging you for that at all. Because I'm going to be honest here, I'd much rather run on a treadmill than run in place for 3 to 5 minutes straight. It's just awful. But that's like my stance. I think that you're going to get the most workout out of the hula hoops, especially if you're like me who struggles with, using your hips. You're going to really benefit from the hula hoops. Like those games, if you're going to get anything out of any of those games, you're going to learn how to, I think the hula hooping you're going to get the most out of, especially the super hula hoop one. You're definitely going to feel it. Balance games, I already gave you my stance on it. Like it could help you maintain what you have. It could potentially. But it's also about working with the balance board. If it is a good balance board and it decides to work for you, great. But I also know that sometimes it can get a little stingy at times. So that's kind of like how I feel. Those are like my overall feelings about the game. But I think the major caveat is that the concept of the game, it kind of emphasizes an idea of being at a healthy weight, being at a normal weight makes you healthy, and putting yourself in an overweight, obese weight. And I say putting yourself, but that's really not true. But being obese and overweight is inherently a bad thing, and they're basically like, if you do that, that will cause health problems. But, I wouldn't trust a game to, like, my real caveat in this game specifically is the body image test, and I think I'm going to keep emphasizing that over and over again because I just don't feel that it's necessary. Like, I literally have a bodybuilder teacher who could easily be notated as overweight, even though the dude is perfectly healthy and he's perfectly, unless there's something I don't know, which is none of my business. But I just don't think that I just have strong feelings about BMI in general, and I know this game came out over 15 years ago, so I kind of maybe it was over 15 years ago. So BMI people used it a lot more, like in the medical field back then, but if we're looking at 2025, like I have a huge problem with exposing kids to that at such a young age, and we get that enough in dance. Like, we don't need more of that. We don't need more of that. We're good. We don't need more of that in our favorite video games. But yeah, that's and that's just how I feel. Like, I know that as I'm hoping to branch out and pursue more out there topics, as I pursue to look for guests who, maybe are in that side of the industry and can share their perspective. I definitely want to get some dancers really care about that, and that's their choice and their decision. But I just don't think, for all intensive purposes, I just don't think that being a child and being exposed to that in a video game is appropriate. You all already know my stance about, talking about weight in front of kids in general. I just don't think it's ever okay. I don't think it's necessary unless you're a trusted medical professional. Yeah, that's basically all I have to say about it. Overall, body image, the body test is terrible and I don't like it. And I don't know why I did that as a kid, but the games themselves, I got something out of the strength games with my own accommodations. And everything else, would I recommend this for dancers to actually work out? I think if you want to have fun, yes, but I also think you need to make the game harder for yourself because I just I love the game. I really do. Wii Fit Plus and the Wii Fit franchise played a huge role in my childhood and I really enjoyed playing the games, but I think for dancers, if you're looking to be strenuous, this is not the game for you. That's my stance. But if you like to have fun, if you like to have a good time, I'm not here to tell you to not have fun because how dare me say that? That would be rude. If you're actually serious, unlike myself, I'm going to say no to you. I don't recommend Wii Fit as an effective game to play. I think that, being dancers, we naturally come in with the expertise about our bodies and the workout routines and being familiar with what our body needs. Wii Fit can help with the discipline side of it, sure, but I don't think we need it. I think that if you're able to have a buddy to do this with, that could, or have a YouTube video play, or do some sort of if you're trying to get the loneliness out, essentially. I think that, that could work really well. So yeah, that's my opinion. If you don't like my opinion, I'm sorry. I love doing these really odd, strange analysis episodes, so thank you for staying with me through that. That was fun. But yeah, this is pretty much it. I already talk way too much. I can't believe that I've been talking for an hour. That's crazy for a solo episode. But yeah, like I said, like Wii Fit, it plays a monumental part in my childhood. I still love the games. I just think if you're a dancer, and I just don't think this is a game you should take very seriously. Like, definitely take it with a grain of salt. Now that we're officially at the end of the episode, I just want to reiterate that I have some very exciting episodes coming up. I will be doing a performance review on the Dancing with the Stars tour, Dancing with the Stars Live 2025, and kind of doing my own little take analysis on it, kind of telling you how it went, how both shows were, because they're both going to be different. So that's going to be a fun one to talk about. And then my next show after that, if I get I don't know what the dates are, but the next show, 2 weeks after the Dancing with the Stars live review comes out, I will be having a professional mental health person, a therapist. She is getting certified in EMDR, and then also she's trained in schema therapy. So having her on, so I'll be speaking with her in the next episode after that. So those are some 2 pretty cool episodes to look forward to, and I hope that you all stick with me through them. So yeah, I will see you all in 2 weeks for the next episode. I appreciate those of you who made it this far, because I know that with podcasts independently, that can be really difficult it can be difficult to sit through, and I understand. I understand. It's all good. But yeah, thank you all for listening and watching. I hope you all got something out of the episode, and I hope you all have a good day. Bye, everybody. Thank you for watching this episode of Dissecting Dance Kicking It with Ren podcast. If you can hear the wonderful background music, those are water bottles. This is your sign that you should relax and drink some water. Anyways, a new episode will be uploaded every other Thursday. Thank you for watching.